guys. I have not been on YouTube in a while, and there's a backstory for that which I may update you guys on in the future, maybe early next year perhaps. But life was happening, and life is still happening. You can see I'm wearing a sweater and a coat, a short coat, but a coat nonetheless. We're currently in the fall season here in Canada, which, give or take, for the average Jamaican, it's relatively cold, which is why, I'm doubled up kind of. The coat will get longer eventually. It basically stops at my waist kind of, but the coats get longer as the seasons change over and winter really come in. But really, I came here to talk to you guys about an experience that I occurred yesterday. Today is the 18th, so it happened on the 17th. So depending on when I upload this video, I just wanted to put the date in context. So I moved out of my apartment, my 1-bedroom apartment, and I moved in to a sharing capacity. A backstory, you guys will get at another point. Anyways, I'm on a month-to-month lease, and I am looking for another place because I'm not as comfortable as I would like to be, and it's far away from my job. And once winter come in and there's snow, which there isn't any snow right now, as you can see, empty parking lot, I will eventually want to be closer to home because I've never driven in snow before, and moving forward, for my own safety, I would prefer to be the closest to my job as possible, because now I'm thinking I'm 20 minutes away from my job, and that's a bit much for a girl. So I'm shopping around to find a new place. Yesterday on my lunch break, I went onto Facebook Marketplace, and for full context for persons who don't know what Facebook Marketplace is, it's really a cyberspace for a big market, just as the name suggests. It's a marketplace, a virtual marketplace. So you can find literally anything at all that you want. You want a car, you want a house, you want a room in a house, you want snow tires, whatever it is, you will be able to find it on Facebook Marketplace, and relatively, sometimes very new, sometimes used, sometimes very old, sometimes for free. I've placed stuff on the marketplace when I want to get rid of something, but I don't necessarily want to price it, or I've had priced it but no one would take it at the price, so I just give it away. So I'm on Facebook Marketplace yesterday on my lunch break, November 17, 2021. And I went onto the marketplace, and there is a recent posting. Room for rent, $700 all inclusive. I was okay, that's not bad. I message a person, say, hey, can I stop by at 3:00 because 3:30 because I finished working at 3. So the person said to me that no, they actually finished working at 5, so coming at 5:30 or 5:15 would be a better option for him. I said, cool. I said, how many persons are living there besides the room that you're trying to rent out? And he said there are 2 other persons or 2 other rooms there. Okay, so 3 persons in total. All right, cool. A girl did this before, I can do this again. So I messaged him and I said, okay, I'm stopping by at 5:15, like he suggested. He's gonna be at home. Fine, that works for me. After work, 3:00, I went to Popeyes to have a meal because I was hungry and I didn't eat anything. So I sat in Popeyes parking lot. I had my food and I sat there until it was 5:00 because it was gonna take me 15 minutes. Well, it was gonna take me 15 minutes to get there. It's gonna take me about 7, but afternoon traffic, whatever the case is. Anyways, So I decided that, 5 o'clock I'm going to drive out, and I got to the location. Now, the location I got to was, I basically went to the house, but the house was empty and it was locked up, in the sense that, you're going away for a long period of time and you just shut off all of your light and it just look like no one really lives here, yada yada yada. Big beautiful house, and I've been into a house almost identical to it, because one of my other Jamaican friends, he lived 2 doors away. So one house in the middle, my friend at the end, and the house that I am at is on the other end. So I pulled up into parking lot and I messaged the person. I said, I'm here. But, I pull up in the parking lot, I turn off my light, I turn off my engine, I'm just sitting there, and I messaged the person that I was there, and it was 5:13 at this point. Anyways, so I observed a gentleman coming out of the house that is in the middle. Remember, my friend is at one end, I'm at one end, and our house is in the middle. Gentleman came out. So I was there for less than a minute before the gentleman came out of his house, out of his house. So I'm not paying him any mind, because, it could just be coincidental that it's when I arrive that he needs to do something outside. So I'm not paying, like, I really not, I'm in my phone. A girl on Facebook, a girl, on Twitter. Kadeen was supposed to meet me and I noticed she wasn't there, and I called her. Or I think I called the guy who lived at the other in-house, because I didn't realize that, I was going literally to his house. So I never want to show up at his house without calling. So I called him, never got him. So then I called Kadeen and I said, girl, where are you at? She said, oh, I'm on my way. So I'm sitting in the parking lot. And the gentleman who came out of the house, he went into his vehicle. Again, a girl in our phone, a girl not really, nothing of the situation. What I didn't realize is that the gentleman parked behind me, across the street, but behind me nonetheless. Like right behind me. Again, this was after the fact that I noticed that the same vehicle that was parked next to me on the right is the vehicle that was parked behind me, and almost so close to me that I couldn't come out of the driveway. But follow the story. I was sitting in the car and I was on my phone, and a shadow passed me in my side mirror on the left. Kind of shadow just passed, and then I look in my rearview mirror, I don't see anything. I look at my side mirror on the other side, I don't see anything. I look into this mirror and I realized that the guy that came out of the house, who parked the car behind me, was now literally approaching my driver's side of the door. Like, he literally, and I turn around and I look at him walking up to my door again. And there was a pregnant pause. He was just there, and he's observing my vehicle, and he's yada yada yada. I noticed him start looking at me, and now he's literally at my window. Not close enough that if I wind down the window I could touch him, but he was at my window. So he started to say something to me, and I can't hear him. I locked my door. All the doors are locked, and I wind down my window just to hear what he had to say. And he was like, like, what are you doing here? Like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, you come to somebody here? And I'm like, yeah, I did come to someone here. At this time, the guy that I'm supposed to meet, he never responded to me at all. Like, I had no communication with the guy. He told me how many persons were living in the house, and I said to him that I will be coming there at 5:15. He never acknowledged the message. I didn't make the observation that then, I know, like, sometimes Facebook will say, oh, the person viewed the message, and sometimes will tell you that the person don't view the message, which just seems odd depending on how you're looking at the message or which apps you're looking at the message through. So if you go into Facebook, then go into your messages. It's different from if you go to the messenger itself. you know, maybe my head a play tricks for me, because I figure more or less that the guy, to me, before I got there, he read the message that I was going to be there at 5:15. Anyways, back to the story. The guy is standing at my window, I crack it open. I'm interacting with him, and he's like, you know, are you here to see someone? And I said yes. And he's like, are you sure? And I said yes. And I showed him on my phone that I'm communicating with the person who is presumed to be the owner of the house, because this is the location. And then he just wouldn't let it go. He was like, you're sure, like you're supposed to be here? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm talking to the owner of the house. He's not responding to me, but that's the location where I'm supposed to be. So, you know, I'm thinking maybe he's on the road driving towards me, perhaps. You know, you can't text on your phone. You're not supposed to text on your phone while you're driving. So I need to just give him a little bit of room. If he's on his way home, he won't be responding. So the guy walked off, and for full context and full, you know, presentation of the situation, the guy was the older Asian guy. I felt like I need to say that in this conversation for you guys to see where I'm leading up to, without actually saying where I'm leading up to. So he walked off, and, you know, stopped, and while he's walking in front of my vehicle, at this point he made a full circle around my vehicle. He drove into his vehicle, drive behind me, and then come up on the other side. That's literally a 360 around my vehicle, up until the point where he's crossing in front of me once more. So while he was walking back to his house, he, you know, stopped and he observed my license plate, and he went over to his house, or his yard. He never went into the house. He was just, you know, pacing back and forth in his own space at his own house. And I'm sitting there in the moment like, why this feel like a racial attack? Why do I feel like if I was someone else, this situation wouldn't be happening? And the guy was making me uncomfortable to the point where I backed out of the driving way and I went down to the street. And while I was at the end of the street, that's when Kadeen was coming into the street, and I called her and said, hey, you know, I'm parked right here, and I'm parked right here because the guy just made me feel uncomfortable. So when she parked behind me, because right now where we are is a dead-end road. Me coming into the road, that road is a complete dead-end road. You can't go out. You have to turn around and come back out. So we were just coming back out, and we were just stopped at the intersection where we're supposed to leave. I said, Kadeen, we can't really stop here, so because she's in her vehicle behind me and I'm sitting in my vehicle in front of her. So we can't really stop right here, so because, first of all, this is like, you know, residential community. Both houses on different sides. Like, we're literally sitting at somebody's house. We can't stay here. And then we drove off and we go to somewhere else. And then we went somewhere else. After we went somewhere else, what happened? I told Kadeen what happened, and she was like, yo, like, you know, that's an unfortunate situation. We're having a conversation about it. Again, we were just on phone call, even though I could have just walked over to our car. I called her and we were just on the phone with each other, and I was like, okay. And I'm like, but what was interesting even so more about the situation is that I couldn't get the guy that I was meeting up with. The situation just seems fishy, right? It just seems unnatural that the series of events that were happening at the moment in time, it just seems a little bit overplayed, if you know what I'm saying. It's like, what the hell is going on? So I'm there talking to her, and I said, hey, I'm not getting the guy. So while she's talking to me on speakerphone, she's sending messages to the guy. So she's like, oh, the guy just responded to me. The guy just responded to you? I am talking to the guy. I'm supposed to meet with the guy. Why would he respond to you and I'm sitting here like? But the guy don't know, say, really, me and her apart. Because whenever I go to view somewhere, I always walk with an extra person, which is she, because she is always available and a girl, excuse me, a girl on top of her thing. So I always, make sure that I have one extra person when I'm going to view properties or whatever. So shortly after she said he's responding to her, he responded to me and said, oh, sorry, I'm not home. So I responded and I said to him, how much more time do you need? I'm parked down the street because I don't think your neighbor really liked the fact that I was sitting in your driveway and he was making me uncomfortable. I don't hear from the guy from the time I messaged him. It was probably 5:45. And remember, I was there from 5:15. So when I said to him, how much more time do you need? Yada, yada, yada. Then he never responded until about 6 o'clock. After I asked him how much time he needed. And he said, oh, I'm going to come home at 7:10. Remember, say my work finished 3 o'clock, for the mere fact that I was there until 6 o'clock. That's literally 3 hours out of my time that I just sat there just waiting on a person to come to view the property. And on top of that, your neighbor just made me very uncomfortable. And I expressed to you that something happened, and he didn't acknowledge the fact that and the ending of it all is more so in context that the situation just fishy, the situation not giving. Like, what really happened? Beside the guy, like, in full context, I just feel like he was treating me the way he was treating me because of my skin color, and because I wanted no conflict and I wanted no part of drama and having a certain attention being drawn to me more than what he was already doing. On top of the guy who I'm supposed to meet and not even communicating as quickly as possible, because I didn't want to sit there. I didn't want the guy to call the police on me. And then so I left, and then the other guy said he's not coming home until 7:10, which would have made it 4 hours that I'm sitting there. No. So I left. When I left and I was sharing this story with some of my friends, they were expressing that perhaps I should have called the police. All of the persons who I'm talking to about the situation, they were people of color. And I don't know how I felt about, someone telling me to call the police, because oftentimes or not, the favor is not in the person who is of my complexion in terms of when a police officer is being called. He could have violated me to the full extent in the moment, and I would have been in a certain predicament, and only based on my skin color. And I wanted to share this story because the sun coming out. I wanted to share this story. Oh yeah, that can work maybe. I wanted to share this story because I feel like if I'm going to be transparent about my experience here in Canada and my experience of, being in a foreign country as a person of color, I feel like I should give the full story and not just part of it that creates a picture of this is a perfect world that we're living in, and it's really not. Thankfully, nothing happened. I went home. The owner of the house never contacted me afterwards. He never asked me about, why is it that I felt like my neighbor was making me uncomfortable or what happened. He said he was gonna be home at 7:10. At 7:10, if he came home and I was no longer there, he never asked where I was. I mean, the situation in and of itself was not giving what it was supposed to give, and it was making me, very uncomfortable. But again, this by far is one of those situations. For the first time living in Canada for the past 4 years, November 28 would be 4 years. This was one of the moments where I felt uncomfortable. And I felt like I had no outlet for it. But to say the least, I never reached out back to the landlord. Never going back there ever again. I messaged my friend and I explained to him, like, hey, I was in your community. I was 2 doors away. But one of your neighbors, was reacting in a manner that, made me uncomfortable. And it was giving, like, I'm going to call the police on you vibes. And oddly enough, he said to me, yeah, they'll do it. Also, this is normal. This is normal around here. So when I expressed to him that, this is the person who, in this particular situation I am talking about, he said, ha ha ha. And he had the emoji with his a zipper, lips are sealed. I said, oh, yeah, I don't need to live here. I need to live here. So, like, no. We're not going to do this. It don't worth it. No matter how close it is to my job, no matter how cheap it is, this is not going to work. It's not going to work. And the Asian guy was living in between 2 black families. So, how is that going for them? But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I may be uploading some more content throughout the winter season when I'm a little bit more stable in life. I'll give you some backstory as to what is happening, what happened, and where I am. Bye-bye.